men can lay claim to celebrating the best 2008 season at the World Series.
He's got his bracelet.
Superstar Eric Lindgren finally captured his first bracelet on the way to winning Player of the Year.
From unknown to unreal again at the World Series.
While Peter Eastgate came from obscurity to capture the main event title and over $9 million. Tonight, both begin their 2009 main event, hoping for a return to glory here at the World Series of Poker. Welcome back inside the jam-packed Rio for the main event of the World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. With Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. 6,494 players make up the 2009 main event field, but hundreds were turned away on this, the last of the day one sessions, as the main event sold out for the first time in its 40-year history. But for the 2,800 who did make it inside, the goal is to add their face to the wall of championship banners, right beside last year's winner, Peter Eastgate. The reigning champion is seated at table 2 and joined in his mammoth field by an eclectic collection of celebrities.
Oh, you want me in. You want me in.
Athletes. And an impressive group of poker pros, headlined by the man many consider to be the greatest player in the world, Phil Ivey. And at our featured table, the reigning Player of the Year, Eric Lindgren.
I think my friend's watching Phil Ivey. Maybe likes him better.
Better than you? He likes Phil Ivey better? I like you better than Phil Ivey, so
I'm sure.
I like Eric, but I like Phil Ivey better too.
Action starts on Eric Lindgren on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. Couple of aces for Eric. Eric's going to raise it up to 200.
Geez, he and Daniel Negreanu are now min-raise savants.
Brad Myers, an amateur from Burlington, Vermont, with 6-5 of hearts, makes the call. Over to Ryan McKinnon from New Brunswick, Canada.
I'll get McKinnon to fix his hat a little later.
King Jack, he makes the call. So 3 players will see the flop. Lindgren with the aces. The flop is 5, 7, 10. Eric still ahead with those aces. Myers with a pair of 5s and a flush draw.
600.
After Lindgren checks, Myers bets 600.
Myers used to play chess and switched to poker. How come no one ever switches from poker to chess?
McKinnon folded. Myers favored with that draw. Eric calls.
Being the master.
The master is like Daniel Negreanu. He likes small pot poker, particularly on day one.
Turn card, 4 of diamonds. Myers adds a straight draw. Eric checks it again.
Eric really stepping cautiously with those pocket aces.
Myers stays aggressive, 1,200.
I think he's blowing a smoke signal to someone outside the Rio. It's like a text message.
Eric with the call. All right, river card is an 8, and Myers gets there. He hits his straight.
Daniel Negreanu had aces cracked on day one. His buddy following the same path.
Lindgren checks again. Myers improved on every street. He's going to make it 2,500. Eric calls. Myers shows the straight. Eric quietly mucks the aces.
6,494 players entered the main event. Eric right now, one of the unhappier ones.
I just like to torture myself in the tournaments.
Lindgren once again suffering through the E-Dog days of another main event. Norman, everything went right for Eric Lindgren in 2008. He captured his first gold bracelet and was honored as Player of the Year. But 2009 has been a different story, and he's looking for a deep run in the main event to salvage his World Series.
Lon, I'm going to speak frankly and directly to Eric Lindgren. We all waited forever for you to win a bracelet. Congratulations. Now we're waiting forever for you to cash in the main event. How hard can it be? Sure, I've never cashed in the main event, but I've never played in the main event. Eric, I think this is your year. Go get him, buddy.
It seems to get tougher every year for anyone to cash in the main event, even for a Player of the Year such as Eric. Meanwhile, let's catch up with another former Player of the Year, Jeff Madsen, who scored his first main event cash last year.
But the 06 Player of the Year has been in an 09 funk.
Well, maybe it's those pink glasses. Madsen does bet 2,100 here. River card is out. His opponent thinks about it, makes the call. Madsen turns over a couple of trays and loses to jacks.
Good call.
Madsen still only 24 years old. Eventually he'll turn 30.
There is Billy Wallback, the only man who can still catch Jeffrey Lissandro for 2009 Player of the Year honors. He's in a hand right now with young internet superstar Tom Dwan. Dwan bets the river. Walbeck calls.
Wow.
Dwan chose 2 pair, and it looks like that might be good enough.
Dwan has been the flavor of the month for many months of late in poker. He's a high-stakes player, and he's tough to play.
Dwan, known as Durr, is sometimes called the next Phil Ivey. As for the real Phil,
And a call, 90.
he is trying to knock out the player next to him.
He sucked out once.
Phil's got pocket aces, hits 3 aces in the flop, and he is the man.
Needless to say, he is my pick once again to win the main event.
Phil hit quad aces there. He's running hot. Hanging from the rafters, the brand new banner of the 2008 champion, and Peter Eastgate is beginning defense of that title today at table 2.
Eastgate, of course, the youngest ever to win the main event at age 22.
Action on Kenneth Hammett from Defiance, Ohio. Spent 40 years at General Motors. He's got pocket aces.
Hammett started playing poker in the Army while serving in Vietnam.
He raises it up to 600. Hold it over to the champ, Peter Eastgate. Peter looks down at ace-5 of diamonds.
Eastgate says he's been playing pretty awful poker since winning the main event.
Join the club. He'll go heads up with Hammett.
I've never been able to make my mustache turn up that way.
All right, the flop. 5, 8, 9. Hammett still way ahead. Eastgate paired his 5. Hammett first to act.
1,200.
He puts out a bet.
Hammett comfortable with that flop. Eastgate got a small piece of it, but he's still in bad shape.
He does call, though. Turn card is a 10. No help to Peter Eastgate. Hammett still way ahead. Another 1,200.
Hammett underbets the pot there.
Does Eastgate want to stick around? Yeah, he'll take a risk.
Well, he's drawn thin. Maybe he's going to try to make a play for the pot on the river.
River card. Another 5 trip 5s for Eastgate.
And Hammett with no idea how bad that river card was for him.
Hammett with a balk as he went for his chips. Now puts in 1,500.
I think plan A for Peter was to make a play, but plan B is better. Hit a 2-outer.
Absolutely. And a raise to 55-25.
And that raise is an unexpected eye-opener for Hammett.
55-25.
Hammett had a hammerlock on that hand until the river. He makes the call. And Peter Eastgate shows him the goods.
Wow.
Welcome to the main event, sir.
Set up. Had a feeling, but...
Then why'd you call?
Tough to go up against the champ. Huh?
Eastgate picking up right where he left off.
He's made it here every year since 1974. Howard Tahoe Andrew.
Back at the Rio, 2-time bracelet winner Howard Tahoe Andrew being recognized for playing in every main event since 1974. And as you see on our tournament ticker, Tahoe has watched the size of his competition grow tremendously during that time. In fact, there are more players this year than in the first 33 main events combined, including 2002 champ Robert Varconi. Beside him is Jordan Farmar from the NBA champ Los Angeles Lakers.
Has anybody ever won an NBA title and the main event?
The river. You got me on the river. See, little gypsy. I knew it would come back to me one day.
Also here is 4-time NBA champ John Sally, last seen on the TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Hey, can I get a soy milk? No soy milk in this joint?
As for the champion of that reality show, it was Lou Diamond Phillips. He came up aces in the jungle and chose pocket aces here.
Has anyone ever been nominated for a Golden Globe and a Tony and won the main event?
I've done them twice and they've held up. Crazy.
At another table, comedian Ray Romano is all in and at risk.
Hey, that's Jeff Friedman. I play with him at Hollywood Park.
Well, Jeff Friedman just knocked out Ray Romano.
You're gonna miss me.
Has anyone ever won 3 Emmys and been knocked out that quickly from the main event?
So long, Ray.
This Jeff Friedman's a good player. I might owe him money.
Oh, that hurt.
Well, your buddy just made the main event a lot less funny. Back over to table 2, and a man who became an instant celebrity in the poker world last November, Peter Eastgate. 7 players saw a flop at his table. 4 will see the turn. Stephen Constantino leads after flopping a straight. Behzad Javadzadeh with pocket trays and a straight draw. Patrick Kelly drawing very thin with a pair of aces. And Peter Eastgate with a pair of 5s and a flush draw. There's a deuce of hearts, and Eastgate gets the flush and the check mark. Javadzadeh just made the wheel. Constantino also with a 5-high straight.
Where did that card come from? Eastgate with the flush. 2 players have a wheel.
Kelly and Constantino check. Javadzadeh now with the straight. Bets 2,600.
He thinks that card was the joker, but the joke's on him.
Yeah, because Eastgate with the flush, and he makes the call for 2,600. Kelly gets out of the way. Constantino has a straight.
Well, he flopped a straight, and now he is stewing and considering mucking. Eastgate trying to mind his own business. Nothing going on over here.
Constantino with a disciplined laydown.
Great laydown there.
All right, so heads up to the river. Eastgate and Jaybodzadeh. Queen of clubs. Eastgate already has the check mark. Jaybodzadeh will act first.
Well, he bet drawn dead on the turn, and now he's going to bet again on the river, 6.5 feet under.
6,000 from him. A call from Peter. That's not good enough. Peter Eastgate with another nice win.
I tend to find that world champions run good.
More chips for Eastgate, who over the past few months has had to resolve a conflict between two goals, flying under the radar while remaining a world-class player. Peter Eastgate is our 2008 main event champion.
I still can't believe I won the main event.
Peter Eastgate, 22 years old, the youngest main event champion ever.
I still can't believe I went through a field of almost 7,000 people to win a huge amount of money and a lot of prestige. My friends were way more ecstatic than I was. I was a little bit shell-shocked.
$9 million to Peter Eastgate.
I was just relieved that it was all over. I'm kind of getting more used to being the world champion and the responsibilities. I think I've remained the same, pretty much. Money is just something you use to buy things and to make yourself independent, but you still have to pursue other goals in life. If I were to choose between winning $9 million anonymously or winning the fame and the $9 million, I would probably go for the anonymous way.
Anonymity is overrated, Peter. Just look at the spoils of fame.
Yeah, the world champ does draw a crowd. And you know the difference between first and second place?
Over $3 million and no women hanging around.
Yeah, there's last year's runner-up, Ivan Demidov. He is all in a hand against Tom Worthman. And both players show ace-king. Demidov has the diamonds.
Demidov in great shape to survive. We're looking at a split pot here in all likelihood.
And the flop, King-Jack Trey, 2 diamonds.
Well, now with a diamond, there would be no split pot. Demidov would take it all.
Turn card now is an 8 of diamonds, and with the flush, Demidov doubles up. Yeah, he was pretty much guaranteed to stay alive, but he got some bonus chips there.
Yeah, I tend to find that world champion runners-up also run good.
He had 2 great runs in 08, second here, and at World Series Europe, he had 3rd place. There is the main event bracelet that barely eluded Demidov last year. Everyone here at the Rio has that bracelet in their sights. They all either bought or played their way into the main event. Well, almost everyone. Brad Myers skated in.
You won the seat on a free roll?
Actually, my wife won the free roll and then gave me the seat. How sick is that?
That's Brad's wife on the right, Joanna.
183 people she won. She's only been playing poker for 6 months. You guys are lucky. It's me, not her.
You're not kidding. Boy, we're glad to see you.
All right. Action on Bobby Perillo from Scottsdale, Arizona. He's got pocket aces.
Well, let's see how he plays the aces.
He raises to 800. On to Eric Lindgren. Pocket queens.
Not a good time for pocket queens. And I don't think there's ever a good time for that shirt.
It matches the hat, though. He calls for 800. Brad Myers.
In the big blind.
Wow, ace-queen.
I don't think his wife would play ace-queen off in this spot.
If he does. 3 players will see the flop.
I need to start a lecture series on ace-queen.
Here we go. 5, queen, deuce, case-queen, and the flop. Lindgren hits a set.
And again, pocket aces become cracked aces. Wow.
Myers with top pair, top kicker. Checks. Measly pair of aces for Perillo. He bets 2,000. Lindgren now. Raised to 5,000.
I hate to be a broken record about ace-queen, but this is a great flop for it. Yet Myers can only win if someone yells fire, and he's the only one not to leave the table.
First hand you've re-raised.
Myers really shouldn't be talking with a 3rd player in the hand.
Myers thinking Lindgren's playing close to the vest.
No.
Actually, that shirt could use a vest.
He's just chatting.
Good laydown.
Me and you.
Now, if you're Perillo, you're not sure if Lindgren flopped a set, or maybe Eric flopped a club draw and is just trying to steal the pot right here.
Perillo needs 3,000 to call, and he puts it in. Eric's got him hooked. So heads up to the turn. Turn card 6 of spades. Perillo comes up short.
Well, Perillo believes Eric was on a flush draw. He would bet here.
Perillo checked. Lindgren. One orange chip. That's 5,000.
I'm all in there.
All in from Perillo and a quick call.
3 queens wins.
Eric turns over pocket queens. He's blocked the set of queens. Bobby has
Nice hand.
Lucky hit.
Perillo in need of help. Now only the last ace in the deck would knock out Lindgren.
River cards a tray. Lindgren takes the pot.
Good hand, Eric.
That was lucky.
We're back in business, buddy.
Eric with almost 41,000 chips now.
Nice hand, man.
Those are the moments you pray for on day one.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back inside the Rio for the final day one session of the 2009 main event, where Peter Eastgate is continuing his title defense and right now trailing in a hand as it heads to the turn. Hind Tran leads with pocket kings. Behzad Javadzadeh flopped a pair of sevens, as did Eastgate. Everyone put in 800 on the flop. Here's the turn. It's another ace. Tran almost with a lock on this one.
Yeah, those percentages tell you Tran in good shape.
1,000 chips. That's pretty small.
It's a probe bet from Tran. It's an attempt to get information cheaply.
Javadzadeh folded. Eastgate will commit to 1,000.
Eastgate called a small bet on the flop and does the same thing on the turn.
All right, river card. And, wow, that's where all the aces are. Aces full of kings for Tran. Aces full of sevens for Eastgate.
Tran may be wary. Eastgate has the final ace.
Just a check. Eastgate checks back. And those kings will tell the story. Eastgate comes up short.
Well, Tran was on unsure footing that whole hand, but Eastgate was standing in quicksand with bottom pair. Yeah, I think he's exasperated with himself.
Small pot there for Hind Tran, who has 6 World Series of Poker cashes and 1 final table on his resume. Just a few tables away, a more familiar name in the poker community, Hind's brother J.C. Tran.
It took a while for J.C. to get a bracelet, but now he has won them in back-to-back years.
His latest coming this year, winning the $1,000 pot limit Omaha event. JC adding to his stack here on day one of the main event. So JC won 1 bracelet in 09. Phil Ivey won 2 bracelets, giving him a total of 7. Looks like he's about to knock off another player.
This is the 7th straight year I'm picking Phil Ivey in the main event. I wish he just looked more intent on winning.
That elimination brings smiles from Pat and Mel Humphreys, who've been cheering Ivey on for years, and any top pro will tell you that the Humphreys and Norman are backing the right horse.
Phil Ivey's the king of the game.
He just has a magic about him. He is just so hard to beat.
He has that aura about him and those scary eyes, you know. Everybody is afraid of Phil Ivey.
I'm scared of myself.
I'm all in.
He's just that much better than everybody else that's playing right now. He's our Federer, Tiger Woods, Jordan.
Well, that's a little dramatic. I take it as a compliment. To even be thought of as the best at something is, it's nice.
Phil Ivey cementing his reputation as one of the world's top players.
Whatever I'm doing, I want to be the best that I can be at it. And hopefully I'll remain at the top of the game for a long time. It means a lot to me to be able to win the main event, even though I know it's a very, very tough tournament to win. If I'm playing well, I have as good a chance as anybody. Hopefully I'll win this thing.
Ivey a little tired today because he played all night in the big game. Would it kill him to get a good night's sleep before the main event?
How can you knock the guy? He's the best in the world. He can play on as little sleep as he wants.
Not when I'm picking him.
Back to our featured table, where Eric Lindgren is seated. Can you believe he's never cashed in the main event, Norman?
Maybe he's sleeping too much.
Yeah, could be. All right, Eric with ace-8 of hearts.
Eric says he's been the biggest bust out of 2009.
He raises to 500.
He did cash 4 times this year, all top 35 finishes. He plays to a higher standard.
Brad Myers with pocket 9s in the small blind. Makes the call.
I think Myers should have raised it there. You don't want to play 3-handed with pocket 9s.
With Jack 10, Ryan McKinnon calls 3 to the flop. Flop is Trey 8-6. Lindgren with a pair of 8s. Myers 9s are still good. McKinnon missed. Myers and McKinnon check. Eric with top pair. That's 1,000.
Eric likes his hand.
But it's second best. Myers with a raise with his pocket 9s. McKinnon folds.
Myers with a nice play there, taking my buddy to check raise school.
Lindgren will call for 1,500 more.
Making eyes at each other.
Supposed to just lay it down there. I mean,
it's a little early to do that.
Make it easy.
Turn card now. Eric regards his opponent. 7. As Myers adds an up and down straight draw.
Eric still holding top pair, top kicker.
That top pair trumped by Myers' pocket nines. Myers bets 3,400.
Eric doesn't seem to have a real good beat on the amateur. He's far behind here, as you can see from the percentages.
Eric's going to commit the chips. Myers way ahead. River card now. Another 7. Myers with a check mark. He has the better 2 pair.
If I'm Myers, I put a nice value bet in here. See, I'm trying to teach the next generation.
He checked.
They don't want to learn.
Kids today.
Well, now, is Eric going to bet? He might think 8s and 7s are good.
No, he checks. Myers wins.
9s. That's the one hand I couldn't beat.
Eric, there were a gazillion hands you couldn't beat.
Eric lays it down. Brad wins the pot.
Almost bet the end.
Myers gets him again.
Help me, Norm.
Eric, I can't help you if you can't help yourself.
Back inside the Rio, top pro Jennifer Harmon is still looking for her first main event cash. Jennifer's husband, Marco Traniello, also playing today, but taking a short break. He, too, is seeking his first cash in the big one. Another happy couple who recently said I do are working today as well. There's Chad Brown.
Chad has 27 World Series cashes without a bracelet, but he's cashed in nicely at the altar.
No way.
And his new wife, Vanessa Russo.
She's got 10 World Series cashes.
Can I see one? I'll show you one. This one?
Vanessa showing a lot of confidence at her table.
That was the right pocket pair.
But elsewhere at the other end of that spectrum, Robert Williamson III.
I smell a big hand over there. You got ace-king minimum. I guarantee it.
Robert shows pocket
Show
jacks.
one's for the cameras. I know I was right. You're beat. I know it was me. But show for the camera. It makes a good TV time.
Oh, and he shows pocket tens.
Oh, man, I just made an ass out of myself. Why'd you show that hand? Yeah,
be careful what you wish for, Robert.
I hate my life.
As we learn in this edition of The Nuts, when it comes to your hand, there's a time to show and a time not to show.
You want me to show?
Who's the king?
Good lay down.
No, shows the bluff.
You don't ever want to give any bit of information that your opponents can use against you.
If I fold, will you show me?
They can try and get a read on why it is you're showing those cards and what you plan on doing with your next play.
Sir, how much would you like cash money to see your hand? How much?
It's probably best to keep your cards to yourself.
Don't show your hand unless you have to. Go ahead and take the money, quietly slide it in the money.
I had you, right, baby?
A lot of people say never show a hand, let them all keep guessing.
Mike, check this bluff out.
Because I'm Mike Madison and everybody wants to beat me, I want them to think I have a hand every time.
I just never have a hand, so I gotta steal my money.
It's great to show a bluff against a player that can really just explode.
That was worth the price of admission.
You show your hand and Phil shoots up to like 300 feet in the air.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Unless you're skilled enough to be able to change the way you play,
Show the bluff.
then don't show your cards, ever.
And speaking of not showing your hand, we go back to our featured table and our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We conceal one player's whole cards. It's your job at home to figure out what the hidden cards
I'm
are.
gonna put someone on a hand line.
Once in your life. Serge Pouliot, 27-year-old Montreal bartender, has the Jack Link's wild card hand. And with that hand, he is going to call for 200.
The guy's a bartender. He limps in under the gun. That usually means Jack 5 suited and hearts. Bartenders like suited cards because it's easier to remember. You know, like a one-liquor drink.
Good idea. Pocket sixes for Michael Marichko from Las Vegas. Queen deuce for Michael Mercaldo, who used to be a hedge fund manager. He calls from the small blind. Eric Lindgren used to be player of the year. Ace six of diamonds. And he checks his options.
He could have raised there and knocked out the pretenders.
All right, so 4 players will see the flop. Ace, Jack, 7. Eric Lindgren paired his ace.
A rainbow flop without a heart in it. But the bartender might have paired his Jack.
Mercaldo checked. He missed the flop. Lindgren checks his weak ace.
Pouliot's got a pair of Jacks, I think.
You think so? All right, pair of Jacks.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the ledger.
Definitely a pair of Jacks, Eric.
Everyone checks to the turn. It's an 8 of diamonds.
See, a bartender, Lon, likes to fix a gin and tonic. It's just a gin and tonic. But if you're asking for a white Russian, that's a bit complex. It's a couple of different alcohols plus the cream.
Mercaldo checked, drawing dead. Lindgren with 4 diamonds to a flush checked.
Why is Eric checking a pair of aces with the nut flush draw?
Pouliot bet 450.
At this point, Pouliot figures no one has an ace, so he would bet his jacks. Eric should be check-raising here and just end matters. I can't do everything for him. He's got to do it himself. He's got to know Pouliot's betting a pair of jacks.
Just a call.
Jeez.
All right. Heads up now to the river. Lindgren and the mystery cards. River card is a 4.
That changes nothing.
Lindgren, first to act. A check.
Eric wants to keep the pot small.
Pouliot's going to put some chips in. 825.
Eric's getting 3-1 on a call here. If he puts his chips in and he is right half of the time in this spot, he's making a profit.
Eric with the ace, but a weak kicker.
I'm telling you, the barkeep has a pair of jacks. Look at him. It's written all over his face.
Lindgren makes the call.
Good call.
Pouliot shows ace, queen, a bigger ace.
Bad call. So the barkeep was playing a Long Island iced tea, not a gin and tonic. Hey, I was wrong. Let's move on.
Hope you enjoyed the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
Should have folded.
Maybe not an expensive hand for Eric, but a demoralizing turn of events.
The World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. Eric Lindgren at our featured table trying to get something going. He's been especially dogged by Brad Myers, who is here only because his wife gave him the seat that she won online.
Did your wife give you any advice on the break? She said, play your best and you'll have nothing to worry about.
Boy, love is blind.
When Eric Lindgren plays his best, he is one tough man to beat. Action begins on Bobby Perillo on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam. Couple of black 8s.
Don't know much about Perillo, but I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. He's got a good look at the table. He calls for 300. Action folds around to Mercaldo. Ace 7 offsuit.
I'm not sure about this guy's jib.
He calls. Lindgren. Pocket aces again.
Pocket aces have been doomed all day.
Action on 24-year-old Evan Panises from Overland Park, Kansas. King 10 of diamonds.
Another jib I'm suspect of.
He makes the call. George Hardy with 6 deuce. He's a big name in poker.
Yeah, this fellow used to run the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles. Great place.
He checks his option.
By the way, why would Eric want to play pocket aces 5-handed?
That's what he's doing. Jack 5-5. Eric's aces are good.
Nobody has a jack. Nobody has a 5.
No. 6 deuce is checked by Hardy. That flop didn't hit anybody. Checked from Perillo, Mercaldo, and Eric.
Why is Eric checking again? He must be reading not-so-super system.
Everyone checks to the turn. Turn card is a king. That hits Panises, but his kings come up short to Eric's aces.
Let the checking begin.
Hardy and Perillo check. Mercaldo, drawing dead, bets 1,200.
He makes a play for the pot. I don't blame him.
Lindgren just calls.
I don't understand a call there. Eric's a great player. Maybe he's trying to set up a trap.
Panises with kings up makes the call. And that gets rid of Hardy and Perillo.
Eric's still in great shape in the hand, but he's played it like one of the Olsen twins.
So 3 players to the river card. 7 of hearts, third heart on board. Lindgren with the check mark. He has aces up. But Mercaldo comes out with 5,000.
He'll bluff at it again with a pot-sized bet.
Action to Lindgren now. And he lays down the aces.
I don't blame Eric for mucking it there, but if he had raised pre-flop or on the flop, Mercaldo wouldn't be around to make this play.
Panises gets out of the way. Mercaldo wins it with a bold move on the river.
Worst hand wins. Eric, look over there at seat 9. He's a pro.
Mercaldo had an opening, and he took it.
2008 was a good year. 2009 sucked.
Eric Lindgren has reason to be singing the blues, but hopefully he will leave the singing to the man with the tattooed arms, Sully Erna, lead singer of Godsmack.
I'm thinking of tattooing the poker brat on both of my arms.
Sully has cashed twice in the main event.
I gotta climb the big hill again.
Perhaps Sully could perform with another set of tattooed arms, those of Scott Ian, guitarist for the band Anthrax.
What is this, a musicians with tattoos instructional video?
You can't rip on poker and music without mentioning Prahlad Friedman of Poker is Fun for Everyone infamy.
What's up, guys? I'm not talking for you. I'm just boring.
Let's leave Prahlad alone. He might start rapping again.
We may not have to worry about Prahlad, but beware of Jeff Madsen.
No.
Yeah, he thinks of himself as the World Series' newest MC.
Okay, yo, this is Jeff Madsen. I got my crew and about to show you best rapping. It's what I do.
I've always been into hip-hop music.
I'll definitely use rap to kind of get out some frustration and emotion. Yo, I'm about to tell you about my World Series. It's been kind of hard, just hear me. I had pocket jacks I raised. This guy had aces, man, I folded, I was blazed. About to do it pronto, trying to win 3 bracelets like Jeffrey Lissandro. Main event, I'm a beast out the gate, yo, trying to beat Eastgate, heads up. Am I a better poker player or rapper? I'm probably a better poker player, but hopefully soon they'll be on the same level.
Rob? This is Jeff Madsen.
Peace.
The less said about that, the better. So let's just move on. MC Madsen just moved all in, and as 50 Cent put it so eloquently, Jeff is about to get rich or die trying, Norman.
Well, Madsen is ahead with the all-in here.
All right, well, he's got ace-queen, still best for Jeff right now against Carter King.
Do you think he's rapping in his head right now?
I'm sure he is. A queen hits both. Madsen has the best kicker.
Madsen needs to avoid a king to stay alive.
River card now is a deuce, and Madsen will double up, but he's still very short on chips. However, many great songs are born from adversity, so Jeff will have a story either way. Back to table 2, and the reigning champ, who probably has never rapped, Peter Eastgate.
I think he favors smooth jazz.
Peter Eastgate flopped a pair of 10s. He's a big underdog to Roger Lee, and his ace is up. Lee checked the flop. Eastgate bets it 1,000.
Lee, a security lieutenant at Emerald Downs Racetrack in Auburn, Washington.
Will raise it to 3,000.
A nice check raise against the aggressive Eastgate. And we have seen the defending champion playing from behind all day.
Eastgate taking his time. He does call.
And he is way behind here.
Turn card now is a jack. Eastgate hits 2 pair, but Lee's 2 pair, much better.
Yeah, it looks like Eastgate caught up a little, but he's still way behind.
Lee slyly checks it. Eastgate with jacks up, that's 4,000.
Lee using Eastgate's aggression against him.
And now the man with aces up raises it again, this time to 8,000.
Another check raise from the amateur against the champ.
A re-raise from Eastgate.
Eastgate's not a believer.
That would put Lee all in. He can't get the chips in fast enough.
Eastgate's got to be a believer now.
Aces up for Roger Lee. Jacks up for Peter Eastgate. 1 card to come.
Peter looks a little flamooshed.
Yeah.
Eastgate can only knock out Lee here with a river jack or 10.
River card is a 5, and Roger Lee played that very well against the world champ and doubled up.
Thank you very much. Back in the game.
Back in the game.
Courteous of the world champion.
Well, I don't think that was a courtesy double up, but after losing that pot, Eastgate is probably already planning his revenge. The best of the best have won Player of the Year, but that honor has not translated into success at the main event that same year. None of the 5 Players of the Year have advanced past day 2, including Eric Lindgren last year. But Eric describes one hand he did play well in last year's main event in this edition of Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. On day 1, Eric was in position to take a lot of chips from Andrea Pave, but it took some skillful betting to pull it off.
He raised with the ace-king, and he had a nice stack, so I called him with the 2 4s. And it comes ace-ace-4.
Wow, Lindgren hits a full boat.
When I flop the nuts, I'm trying to judge my opponent. Is he an aggressive guy that will get in a lot of chips? Is he a conservative guy that wants to stay in the tournament? I kind of knew that he wanted to stay in the tournament. So I needed to really build the pot a little more quickly so my bet sizes would make sense and encourage him to call. He bet about 1,400 and I raised him to 4,200. A lot of people would just slow play the flop and just call. If you really think your opponent has an ace, it's good to try to get the money in right there before some cards come to scare him. And the turn comes to 6 of clubs, and what a terrible card for him. He now has a flush draw to go with his ace-king. That's the perfect card for me. So he checks. So I bet 9,000, and he calls.
River card is a 10.
He checks it, and I decided to bet at 14,000. I think he had about 17 left.
Trip aces and top kicker. He must think his hand's good.
And he finally called.
What a difficult and devastating hand for Pave.
Early in the main event, you need to get as many chips as you can because there's so many pitfalls like this hand where you need to have more chips than your opponent.
Well, how many chips does Eric have right now? I can see why him and Daniel Negreanu didn't do well in their Player of the Year prop bet this year against any 2 comers.
And their bankrolls took a bit of a hit. Bobby Perillo Looks down at a 9 and a 10 offsuit. He calls for 300.
Too much limping in the main event? Sure, playing conservatively generally keeps you out of trouble, but it can get you into trouble.
Mercaldo with queen tray of diamonds limps as well. Eric with ace 10. He limps.
Limping is contagious. Eric's been content to limp in all day.
Serge Pouliot in the small blind with king 8 offsuit, calls for 150. Evan Panisis, king jack offsuit, checks his option.
Table for 5, no waiting.
Only Lindgren has an ace. So here we go to the flop. 7 ace jack. Eric with top pair. Panisis with middle pair. Pouliot, Panisis check. Perillo checks. He's got an inside straight draw. Mercaldo check.
7.
Eric bets 700.
Eric's going to bet his hand for a change. I guess the carrier pigeon delivered my note.
Pouliot and Panisis get out of the way.
Perillo called with just a gut shot. He's an optimist.
He needs an 8 to make a straight, and he does call.
Remember, Eric, you're the player of the year.
Mercaldo folded, so aces versus jacks. A 6 on the turn. Perillo gets no help.
Player of the year, Eric. Play the part.
Perillo trying to figure out if Eric has the ace. He checks.
Check is good.
No, check is not good. Why is he checking?
River card is an 8, and Perillo hits his jack high straight, and he bets it right away, 2,000.
I hope the tape of this telecast is destroyed before Eric sees it. It'll set him back 15 years.
You don't have ace 9, do you, Bob? Yeah, you really might.
What could I say?
Well, when a man winks at you, he's either got the best hand or the worst intentions.
Eric, I'm desperate.
I know you are.
Eric lays it down.
Did you have ace 9? Oh,
time and time again, Eric is just letting people beat him.
Boy, did I let that get there.
Yeah, Eric Lindgren will not be using that hand as a training tape anytime soon. From the 08 Player of the Year to someone who's a worthy candidate for Player of the Universe, Phil Ivey.
How much you got left? 32, 33 and change.
That's not what you want to hear when you're playing Phil Ivey.
No, I'd be more comfortable stuck in a car with a band of rabid weasels than I would going heads up in a pot against Phil Ivey.
Ivey playing the role of Grim Reaper at this table, just bet enough to put Gary Tang all in. Tang is in agony, and he lays it down.
That is a lot of agony for day one, and there's my man.
Ivey doing what he's supposed to do. Jordan Farmar surprising a lot of people among the chip leaders here on day one.
By the way, he's got to work on his defense.
Elsewhere, Ivan Demidov was one player away from the championship last year, but right now he was 2 cards away from a day one elimination.
It's been a slow 2009 for Ivan. Only 1 cash at this World Series.
Ivan gets no help on the turn, and Demidov is an early casualty at the 2009 main event.
As is often the case, 1 year can make a big difference.
Over to table 2 again, and the man who eliminated Demidov last year, world champion Peter Eastgate. Peter in a hand right now. His 2 kings are ahead after a flop of 3 spades. Peter has a flush draw, but Steve Constantino holds the nut flush draw. Post flop, Peter bets 1,300.
Constantino is a 43-year-old electrical contractor from Port Orange, Florida.
And he commits 1,300 chips as well.
Peter said he entered last year's main event with no expectation of going deep.
6 of diamonds. Eastgate's kings are still best. And he comes out with 2,200.
It's nice to see Eastgate ahead for a change and dragging along a victim.
Constantino just on the draw.
If a spade comes out, Eastgate's going to lose a bundle here with a king-high flush.
Yeah, Constantino with the nut flush draw as we go to the river. River card, 5 of diamonds. Eastgate with his kings will earn the check mark.
3,800.
3,800.
Eastgate wants to extract 3,800 more chips from Constantino, but Constantino just has ace-high.
And a raise from Constantino. That's bold. Makes it 15,000.
Wow. Constantino makes a play, a stone-cold electrical contractor bluff against the reigning world champion.
So the eyes of Icegate. Peter trying to figure out his opponent. He makes the call.
Good call.
He sniffs it out.
Wow.
That's the Peter Eastgate we know.
It's good.
He smelled something rotten in Constantino's actions. And it cost the contractor plenty.
Good call.
A world champion read by Peter Eastgate. He hasn't lost a step. It's the final day one session of the main event here at the Rio, and it seems to be time for someone to hit the showers.
Elvis is leaving the building.
Elvis never wore a striped shirt.
John Sally on his way out.
All in call.
And the Vanilla Ice of Poker may soon be joining him. Jeff Madsen all in. Carter King is in better shape this time against Jeff. King with 2 aces. Madsen with a gut shot straight draw after the flop.
I don't understand why the rapper in training with 20 big blinds left would push all in on the flop on a semi-bluff.
The turn card is an 8 that pairs the board. Madsen still in need.
Madsen needs a 10 and a 10 only, or he is whamboozled.
The river card is a 5, and King will win the hand. Jeff Madsen gone.
He shouldn't be rapping. He should be singing the blues about himself.
Yeah, disappointing 2009 World Series comes to an end for Madsen. Elsewhere in the Rio,
I'm all in.
Durr trying to work his magic. Tom Dwan all in. Needs one more club against Nathan Hayes to give him the nut flush.
Here's another new age play. The blinds are still a pittance. Dwan goes all in for 24,000 chips on a club draw.
And he hit it on the turn. Wow, that is Tom Dwan in a nutshell.
The online wunderkind now flushing chips. I tell you, he knows better than I. That much I will say.
He's looking to mirror his online success here in the main event. Meanwhile, Robert Williamson is still having trouble guessing his opponent's cards.
You want another good one? Show this one. I bet I had the best hand.
Just ace 10.
Ace 10.
God!
It looks like Robert folded the best hand to this guy again.
God, please.
I think Robert Williamson could use a self-intervention.
Back at the feature table, Eric Lindgren has had a frustrating 09 World Series. Things have not changed for him so far in the main event, but at least he's making some friends.
Not every day I get to sit with one of the best players in the world. Have a good time.
Cool, that's pretty good, yeah.
Talking about Serge.
Actually, I think me and Eric are going to have to sit down. I'm going to have to retool his game.
Eric does seem just a little bit off so far tonight. Action folds around to Eric Lindgren. Eric has ace tray of diamonds.
Let's see how he misplays this ace.
He does raise it to 700. Brad Myers now.
In the small blind.
Pocket jacks. And he's going to call. George Hardy in the big blind, 6-5 offsuit.
George Hardy deserves a lot of credit for poker rooms. Even being in California, he was in the forefront.
3 players as Hardy made the call. The flop is deuce, king, ace. Lindgren hits a pair of aces. Myers and Hardy check.
If Eric checks here, I'm suspending him from poker for 1 full year.
All right. Get out the red card.
Well, there's some paperwork I got to take care of before that suspension goes into effect.
Turn card now. 9 of diamonds hits no one. Eric Lindgren still ahead. Myers with his pocket jacks puts out a bet of 1,100. Hardy gets rid of his rags.
Well, maybe Eric's smarter than me.
Oh, there's the notion.
And he was trying to induce Myers to bet with the inferior hand on the turn.
Eric flat calls. River card now, heads up. It's an 8. Eric with the check mark.
Myers wondering, what would my wife do here?
Yeah, check.
Myers checks.
Well, he checked way too many times there, Lon. Lindgren's got to know he's got the best hand.
He's trying to induce a check from Eric, but Eric is reaching for chips. Makes it 34 to stick around.
Oh, the magic's back, I think.
Can beat a heart draw.
Oh, heart draw, smart draw. Throw your jacks into the bin.
Myers.
You win.
Looks one last time at a jacks and folds.
Does the right thing. I can't believe Eric survived that hand and day one. I'm still suspending him.
A small payback for Eric.
Maybe my jacks were good, Eric. Jacks? I had 6s.
Finally, my boy's playing poker.
That's not funny.
But Lindgren does get the last laugh tonight. All the day ones are finally over, and 4,400 players now remain in the 2009 main event. Reigning champ Peter Eastgate started a solid defense of his title.
You guys played great.
And reigning player of the year, Eric Lindgren, remains upbeat and confident.
I still got a great chance to win this thing.
Billy Walbeck's quest to catch Jeffrey Lissandro for player of the year is still alive. And with a former player of the year out the door, Prahlad Friedman is the lone poker MC still rapping. And when it comes to real musicians, one tattooed rocker is moving on, another headed out.
Time to go home.
Many big-name pros advance to day 2, including some who just feel fortunate to be alive.
God, why am I so bad at poker?
And while it may be a surprise to see certain people among the chip leaders, it's no surprise to see Phil Ivey with a mountain of chips. Just a scary thought for everyone else. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. Next time, we'll move one step closer to crowning a champion from the World Series of Poker.